Welcome to In Focus. I'm your host, Phan. Every day we hear more and more stories about how the economy has affected the lives of people and their families, but what we don't often hear about is the toll it takes on their beloved animals. Loss of jobs can sometimes mean loss of homes, and loss of homes means downsizing to apartments that may or may not allow pets. For those who are victims of this economy, the Humane Society is one beacon of hope for the abandoned and alone. Jill Proud is a counselor, but not of the regular variety. She is a pet counselor, and her job is to make sure all of these animals find a good home.
My family adopted an animal when I was very young from a shelter. The dog was cowering in the back of the cage, and that was a clear sign that the animal had been abused at some point. We brought him home and he ended up biting me, and we kept him. We tried again, and he bit again. He ended up going to a home though. They put him on quarantine and everything like that. They ended up taking him, putting him into a home with an older lady. He did fine, never bit again. So at some point the dog had probably been abused by children, and it's the job of the adoption counselors to find those specific homes for the animals that we know shouldn't be with kids or shouldn't be with other dogs. That's our job. Well, we're a low-kill facility. We take animals from the cities of Costa Mesa as well as Westminster. We have contracts with those cities, and we are also privately owned. A low-kill facility basically means that we do our best to adopt out all the animals that come in, but occasionally animals will have severe medical conditions or they'll be severely aggressive, and so in that case we'd humanely euthanize them. But for the most part, every animal that comes in here finds a home. That's our job.
Prout says with the changing economy, many pet owners have had to abandon or release their pets due to downsizing.
This is primarily due to lack of training for some animals. Like dogs need training from day one, and they become a handful for some of the owners, and they're forced to give them over to us. As well as animals are a large responsibility, and they require a lot of care. Food and medical expenses are running high nowadays, and a lot of people can't handle that. With the economy the way it is, a lot of people are downgrading, moving into apartments, or moving back in with their families. And these families, they either don't want pets, they already have pets, or the apartment complexes have a no pet policy, and therefore they're forced to surrender their animals over to us. Here we have our dog rows. These are the small dogs right here. The large dogs are over here, and then our cat ward is this way. If you wanted to come this way, we'll show you some of the smaller dogs. We've got Rudy right here. Rudy is a shepherd mix. We've shaved him down so he looks like a young pup, but he's a little bit older. He needs some specific care, so he's been here for some time. As well as Goofy. Goofy is one of our favorites. He's got a lot of energy. He's a really great dog, and we're just waiting for the right home for him. Baxter has been here the longest out of all our dogs. He also needs a very specific home with somebody who's willing to work with him and train him, but he's a great dog. He's got a great way about him. Here's some more of our smaller dogs. These ones tend to go faster than the bigger dogs. A lot of people are looking for smaller animals for apartment living, stuff like that nowadays. This is Turban right here. Turban went with us to an event that we had at Fashion Island right down here in Newport Beach. Unfortunately, Turban's got issues with kids, and he gets very protective. Doesn't mean he's a bad dog. He just needs a very specific home, and he needs training and someone who's willing to work with him. And unfortunately, a lot of dogs like this end up at our shelter, but we do our best to find them an appropriate living condition. Baxter's breed is an American Staffordshire Terrier, which is another word for pit bull. And unfortunately, pit bulls get a really bad reputation. They require a lot of training from day one as puppies, and so a lot of times people end up giving up on them, and it's not the animal's fault, but they end up at a place like this just for pure reason that people aren't committed from day one. These animals take a lot of responsibility and a lot of care. You know what? We feel that there's a large chance he'll be adopted, and that's the reason that he's still here. He's a great dog. He's got a great way about him. He just needs, like I said, a very specific home, and that's our job, to find people, to make matches, and to make these things happen for these animals, because it's not their fault that they're here.
One important thing to note about adopting a dog from a shelter versus buying them from a store is that the price is significantly less. This is one way of attracting potential pet owners to shelters in lieu of stores.
Here, our pit bulls are about $60, $65 or so. And this is a lower cost, at a lower cost to anyone who's looking to adopt, just as incentive to get these animals into homes. I'm going to take you into the cat ward right now. This is where all our cats and kittens reside. And here we've got Ariel. She's one of our new little kittens. And this is her brother, Irish, right here. This is one of my favorite kitties. This is Miles. He was actually an owner release, as you can tell by his little collar right here. The guy was actually downgrading due to the economy. He had to move back into an apartment, and they unfortunately wouldn't let him take Miles with him. But as of yesterday, Miles was adopted, so he'll be going home today.
What do you screen for when they get adopted? What is it that you're looking for, like, before?
You know, one thing that we do require, for dogs at least, is that the person brings down their dog, that they do a little meet and greet, nose to nose, butt to butt type thing, make sure that the dogs get along with each other. And another thing that we require is some kind of proof that they can have an animal where they live. This helps assist us in making sure that the animals don't come back to the shelter, because it's very traumatic when they find out that their landlord doesn't accept animals there, and then these animals are returned, and a lot of them get stress issues, they lose fur. I mean, it's very traumatic for them to come back and forth between here and the shelter. So that's definitely a requirement of, that we require, as well as a lot of other shelters nowadays, and I think it's a very smart idea.
Although these dogs have it relatively good since there is no expiration on the time they come and the time that they are adopted, being left behind is a traumatic experience that even dogs and cats are not immune to.
Animals get stressed just like humans do, and it's very unfortunate, and they get very confused why they're coming back and forth just like anyone else. And we try to avoid this as much as possible, so asking for some kind of documentation such as a mortgage statement, a property tax, or a rental agreement is what we require nowadays. Some of them we've seen lose their hair, some of them just lose their will and their spirit is broken. So we do our best to find them those specific homes where these people are not going to be returning the animals, that hopefully it's a forever home. This is Smithers right here. He's a 2-year-old stray from the city of Costa Mesa. He doesn't do as well with other cats, but he's a very friendly fellow. He loves to be brushed. He's been here almost the longest out of all of our kitties here. And we're confident that he'll find a good home at some point. He just needs to stay here long enough. And I'm glad to say, have the facilities to accommodate him.
On average, most of these animals are adopted in under a year, but a few take longer.
I don't know anybody that stays much more than a year. Even the weirdest, ugliest looking animal at some point will find a home. Somebody will find the beauty in that animal.
What's the longest that an animal has stayed here?
You know, I'm thinking not over a year. I mean, Baxter's he's edging on it right now. September will be about a year for him, but for the most part, and it's surprising to say, at some point everyone will get adopted.
Which is good news for animal lovers whose heart is breaking seeing these beautiful animals homeless. A fun fact, most of these animals are renamed once they get to the shelter. According to staff members, since many are strays and some without documentation, it is a new lease on life and they would rather have them have names than numbers.
Yeah, whoever takes them over for the vet check, the girls get to name them. So we have little name lists. I actually picked up a book called What to Name the Cat, and we flipped through. There's all names with literature names, names from popular television. So we have Smithers, that's a name from The Simpsons, you know, and it helps them actually. People see a clever name and they get interested in the cat and they want to know more about them, and that's sometimes how they find homes, matches.
Although the Humane Society specializes in dogs and cats, a few rabbits have found their way into the shelter as well.
We have a couple bunnies here. We have this little one right here, and we have another one way up here, this cute little black and white. We've just recently started having bunnies here. We also have a rescue group that works hand in hand with us called the Bunny Bunch, and a nice man named Richard will come over and he'll pick up the bunnies if we're unable to keep them because we need cage space for kitties. But yeah, a couple of them have gone home already, and we're looking forward to having more bunnies here. There's 3 mom cats. They're actually right here. This is a mama right here. Her name's Sissy. This is Nada, and she was a mama. And this black kitty up here. They all had their babies right here at the shelter, and all the babies were successfully adopted out. And now the mamas are hoping for the same result.
While dogs at the shelter are walked by volunteers, cats have something different.
Cat cuddlers, that's what they call them. Just like the dog volunteers, people come in to volunteer to walk the dogs daily. We have cat cuddlers that come, take the cats out of their cage, let them roam around, stretch, get some exercise. They also have little toys, as you can see. They've got balls, they've got strings. So we try to make life as comfortable as possible for the cats as well. We have a group that we work with called freekibble.com, and castor pollux is the food that is supplied to us, and it's supplied for all the animals. It's actually run by a young lady. She invented the company, made it up herself. She's only about 13 years old or so, and she lives in Oregon. And it started off with just a couple shelters, and she's supplying them to just a few shelters in her area, and now it's expanded all over the states. She actually came and visited us and got to see what her hard efforts proved. Cats that share cages sometimes come in together. There'll be a pair. We just had a pair adopted the other day, a brother and a sister, and we do our best to try not to separate these animals that have probably grown up together. Basic cost is about $110 for a kitten and $90 for a cat. And for dogs, it's $130 for an older dog, anybody who's over a year, $150 for a puppy, and this comes with shots, spay or neuter, a microchip, a vet exam, and a month's worth of pet insurance. So it's a really good deal overall. We prefer that people come to shelters and we give the prices as incentives. Pet stores run about $300 for an animal, and they can't even guarantee their health or provide them with the services that we have next door here. We get them fixed, they're ready the next day, and we just try to give them the best start as possible.
Coming up after the break, we'll meet more furry friends who have stories to share. You won't want to miss it. Stay with us.
SBTN là đài truyền hình Việt ngữ đầu tiên phát hình 24 giờ qua hệ thống DirecTV và cable trên toàn cõi Hoa Kỳ và Canada. SBTN phục vụ khán giả hàng ngày với lượng tin tức cập nhật sáng, trưa, chiều, tối, dồi dào, đáng tin cậy, cùng hàng loạt tin tức địa phương từ Little Saigon, San Jose, Dallas, Houston đến Washington DC, Boston, Toronto và Việt Nam. Phim bộ hấp dẫn lôi cuốn, cải lương đặc sắc, tâm tình nghệ sĩ thú vị, vui tươi, nhạc yêu cầu thắm thiết chân tình, thể thao văn nghệ đời sống sống động hào hứng, Victoria Show với thế giới điện ảnh kỳ thú mới lạ. SBTN luôn đồng hành với khán giả qua các diễn đàn và những phiên phóng sự nóng bỏng, ghi nhận các sinh hoạt văn hóa, giáo dục, chính trị, xã hội của người Việt khắp nơi trên thế giới và tại quê nhà, cùng với những nhận định thực tế, sắc bén của các thức giả đương đại. SBTN đáp ứng nhu cầu của mọi giới, mọi lứa tuổi qua các chương trình tìm hiểu luật pháp, di trú tị nạn, sức khỏe và đời sống, thể dục dưỡng sinh, em học tiếng Việt, lịch sử Việt Nam, hàng loạt chương trình giải trí phong phú lành mạnh như Người mẫu Việt Nam, Hành trình xuyên Việt, sân khấu cuối tuần. Cùng với các cuộc thi thố tài năng hào hứng sôi nổi qua các show Đố Ai, giải sáng tác hay nhất, giải những thước phim vàng sẽ lần lượt khởi chiếu trên SBTN. Mọi chi tiết về chương trình, ghi danh quảng cáo bảo trợ xin vào website www.sbtn.tv. SBTN hân hạnh giới thiệu DVD Người mẫu Việt Nam với cuộc thi tài sắc đầy hào hứng của 20 cô gái Việt trẻ đẹp, duyên dáng cùng chương trình ca nhạc đặc sắc với sự góp mặt của các tiếng hát trẻ trung được ái mộ nhất hiện nay: Thiên Kim, Lâm Nhật Tiến, Quốc Khanh, Đoàn Phi, Nguyễn Hồng Nhung, Christine Sa, Như Quỳnh, Đan Nguyên. 20 kiều nữ Việt, 20 niềm hy vọng, nhưng chỉ có duy nhất một danh hiệu Top Model, nên họ đã trải qua nhiều thử thách gay go, sôi nổi, phô trương những nét tuyệt mỹ và tài năng, đặc biệt nhất qua các chương trình biểu diễn thời trang và phong cách.
We're lining up to go out on the runway, and then we heard this boom.
It's actually my mom's idea. She knew that this was a passion of mine since I was very young.
Kính thưa quý vị, người đã thắng giải Top Model năm 2008 là thí sinh.
Ai là Top Model 2008? Hãy mua DVD Người mẫu Việt Nam do Trung tâm Asia phát hành ngày 31 tháng 12 năm 2008.
Welcome back to In Focus. I'm your host, Thuy Phan. Before the break, we got a chance to meet some of the cutest animals who have found themselves orphans at the Orange County Humane Society. In this segment, we'll get a chance to meet a few more dogs who, through no fault of their own, have found themselves wishing for a new home.
There are various ways that we find animals homes. We're involved in our community and the newspaper as well. We put in ads for our dogs in the newspaper, and people will come in with a picture of a small little poodle and we can direct them accordingly. We're also involved in a lot of animal adoption fairs. We take our animals over to Fashion Island and we're involved in a program there, as well as big expos like the Pet Expo. We'll bring pets with shots that are already fixed and they're ready to go home right then and there. We also have a website of our own called the OCHumaneSociety.com. We have pictures of our adoptable pets that are updated usually monthly, and they can find out about the animal, see the picture as well. We also are on Patango, which is a live website. Whenever we update our files, it goes right up onto the website and people can check it out there. We also have a Twitter page, a MySpace page, a Facebook page. We're out there in the community and we're doing our best to try to get these animals homes and let them be known. On average, we have about 30 or so volunteers. All the volunteers are 18 years of age or older. We also have youth programs with Girl Scouts groups that can come in. We ask that they bring in donations, and then we give them little tours and even have a little name game where they're allowed to help us name some of the animals. The volunteers are just friends from our community that come in. They spend their day here and they take a lot of time out of their lives to walk the dogs or cuddle the cats, and our shelter really thrives off their help as well. As far as euthanasia is concerned, like I said, we're a low-kill facility. We do our best to find all the animals homes, places in LA County. Sometimes the staff member's job is to sit there and choose who gets euthanized that day. We do our best to avoid such situations. We'd only put animals down if they were severely aggressive or had medical conditions that we couldn't attend to next door at the hospital here. Due to the economy, it's really not these animals' faults. A lot of them end up here, or the fact that they're strays. So our job as adoption counselors is to do our best to keep these animals in good health and find them homes without having to use euthanasia as a means of getting rid of them. We contract with the city of Costa Mesa as well as Westminster. We only contract with 2 cities and we have this many animals, but the county shelter in Orange, they contract with around 22. So you can only imagine how overcrowded some of these shelters are getting, especially around summertime. We have a lot of animals coming in, and like I said, due to the economy, a lot of people have to release their animals to us, so we have a lot of owner releases as well. This is Goldie right here. She was a rescue dog from the Riverside shelter. Occasionally, if we have space, we will go to other shelters and bring dogs back here. She actually was pregnant at the time and had her puppies here. All of them were successfully adopted as well. We brought them to the Pet Expo with us, and they went to great homes right around Christmas time it was. She had about 7 babies or so. A lot of the times these high-kill shelters will reach out to groups like us, and we'll do our best to take in any animals if they have an overflow of animals. If we have available cages, we'll take a dog like Goldie and try to find her home as well as all of her puppies. This is Miller. He was an owner release. He lived in a home for about 7 years here, and he has unfortunately had to end up here with us, but he's got a good facility here that will still take care of him. He gets walked daily, and the owners were a little hesitant to drop him off. They didn't really want to, but they had to do it because they were forced to move out of their home, and it's all right though, because our volunteers take care of them as well as our staff members. A lot of times dogs they'll chew at their feet or they'll lose fur. There's different stress signs of stress, and we try to make it as comfortable as possible for them. We have beds for them at night. The volunteers come in, bring them blankets. They get walked daily, and he hasn't had too bad problems. But you know, upon occasion he'll get a little whiny, and then we come over, spend a little time with him, and that's all he really wants. As comfortable as we make these animals here, we just want people to know that the best thing for them is a home, and that's why we do our best to reach out to the community and through things such as newspapers or events, to let people know that there are animals here that have been in homes and they need permanent, loving, forever homes. Yeah, Rocky, he was an owner release as well, and he's another one that needs a very specific home, which is probably the reason he's still here. He doesn't do as well with cats, with other dogs, or children, but there's a gentleman that's come in every day this week. He's walked him every day, and hopefully he'll end up adopting him. And we're very glad that he takes his time, because a dog like this needs that very specific care, and it needs somebody who's willing to work with him. Yeah, we've got various breeds of dogs. We've got yellow labs, we've got poodles. Occasionally we'll get purebred animals in. And then we've got little mutts like Chuck over here, who's a great dog. He's just waiting for one of those forever homes that we were talking about. He's great with other dogs. He's great with kids. He went with us to an event in Fashion Island, and he did exceedingly well. So it's just a matter of time before he gets adopted. I think smaller breeds get adopted a lot quicker, just because it's a lot easier to have a smaller dog in a home nowadays. But like I said, for the most part, at some point, everyone will be adopted here, which is a very hopeful thing to say when you work in a shelter. That's a part of the reason I really love working here. You just become used to it. You become used to the noise, to the smells, to everything. It's just daily life for them, and it's daily life for us. Although we may be located in the city of Huntington Beach, each shelter has contracts with specific cities, and we do our best to try to direct people accordingly. When people call and they are looking to drop off an animal and they may be located here in this city, it's our job to make sure that they are directed to the right shelter for their area. And a lot of the shelters are here in Orange County, and we can point them in the right direction. Carlita! Carlita! Hi, Mama! This is Carlita. Yeah, this is Carlita. She knows lots of commands. She's a great dog. She's easy to work with. When she initially came in, she did have a little bit of stress issues that we were talking about, and she had a tail at one point. She kept whacking her tail against the cage, and instead of opting to euthanize in a situation like this, we took her next door to the AAA Animal Hospital right here that we worked hand in hand with. They docked her tail, and she's been happy ever since. Hi, Mama.
Yeah, she knows all her commands. She even knows how to shake. So she was obviously somebody's dog.
Yeah, she knows sit, shake. She was obviously someone's pet at one point, and nobody came back for her, but we're hoping that someone will come along, see the beauty in her, and be willing to work with her. I personally adopted a cat here. A lady adopted the kitty, and or she adopted from someplace, and they came in and it appeared here at the hospital next door. Its tail had been severely severed, and instead of opting for euthanasia, I personally adopted the cat myself, and its tail's fully recovered, and it was a long process because he'd keep looking back at his tail, and it's almost like he had a memory of the events, and we're not really sure what happened to his tail, but I've taken him in, and he's doing great with me. Hi! Yeah, we get a lot of little mixes like this. People love a little mixed dog, though. Sometimes they make the best. I think animals from the shelter make the best pets because they really need the homes, and you can really feel that off these animals. Hi. Hi, Jack. Hi. Hello. Hello. He's a little puppy. He's only about 5 months old. He's a pit bull basset hound mix. We get some very unusual breeds that come through our doors, often purebreds, lots of different kinds of dogs coming in and out. This is Molly, and she's a little Pekingese mix, and we're thinking that she was obviously somebody's dog at one point. She was a house dog because when you put her on a leash, she won't walk at all, but she loves to be held. She's obviously a lap dog, and she'll make somebody, maybe an older lady or a good family dog for kids, because she just loves to sit with you and wait. So you know that somebody like this had to be in a home at one point. It's unfortunate she's here, but we're going to do our best to find her a good home.
Although the shelter can say with confidence that most of these animals will eventually find a home, they don't always get to stick together if they are siblings. but they do try.
We're doing our best to get them a home together because the darker one here is a little bit more dominant. He's kind of the man of the house, and the other one follows him around. So it'd be a shame to split up the pair. So we're going to do our best to adopt them out together. Whether it's a cat or a dog, all animals are going to have a transition period in the home, and it can be a little hard, but if people are willing to put up with it, then it seems like a good home for us. And we always want to let people know that before they adopt so that they don't give up too quickly. These animals have been in various situations, and we don't know where they're coming from when they're strays. We don't have too much information to give people. So we request that people spend as much time as they can with the animal beforehand, before the adoption, to make sure that they can provide that forever home. Yeah. You really have to check your emotions at the door, though, with some of these situations, because you never know what you're walking into. There's all kinds of things that go on daily at the shelter, and you have to make sure that you are emotionally stable to handle each situation. Yeah, this is the only job I've ever loved. I absolutely love working here. I feel like it's really, you really have to love animals to be a part of any type of shelter or a vet hospital. So working with these people, I feel off everybody that we really love animals.
One of the things that the Humane Society stresses for dog owners to do is to get a microchip for their pets. The cost is minimal, less than $30, and the time and help it saves is worth mentioning. Also, if your pet ever goes missing, going to your local police can help point you to the right shelter where your pet may have been found. Even though animals are pets, they still are part of the families that take them in. So before you buy or adopt a pet, take care to make sure they don't end up on the streets. Until next time, we hope you learn more, live more, and always stay in focus. Thanks for watching.